It's time for a trip to the tropics. Let's talk about Chamaedorea. What's up, fellow plant enthusiasts? My name is Dylan Bain and this is Bain's Botanicals. Today we're going to be talking about Chamaedorea, also known as the Parlor palm. Chamaedorea is actually one of the easier palms to take care of. If you've never had a palm and you're kind of nervous about it, these are really reliable and they're usually pretty easy to find. And often you'll find them in pretty compact sizes. Chamaedorea already doesn't get that big anyway. Of course, in nature, it's going to become a tree, but these tend to stay a little bit more on the compact side as opposed to like a Ravinia, which is a majesty palm, which will get gigantic. But these have a really good reputation. I'm sure if you've done any research on them, they used to actually keep these in parlors in like the Victorian era when houseplants were getting really popular because they were just so easy to take care of. That being said, here is the taxonomy information for Chamaedorea. As you can see, we are in the family Ericaceae, which means this is a true palm. Any plant that is in Ericaceae that is called a palm is a true palm. Here we go. Chamaedorea, our first one. As far as care goes, they need bright light. Bright indirect light. They are not low light plants. They're from the tropics. They have to have sun, or light, I should say. Water. You don't really want them to dry out necessarily. They can dry out a little bit, but it's good to keep them kind of evenly moist. Think about the tropics again. It rains frequently and it never really dries out like it would in the desert, for instance. So if you miss a watering, it's okay, but just make sure you keep it evenly moist. And on palms, all palms in general, you'll probably notice sometimes a few brown tips. This one doesn't have any yet, but it's not uncommon to get some of the brown tips on it just because either a combination of things, either the water quality that you're watering with, it could be lack of humidity, it could also just be, that's just what it's doing. I mean, sometimes that's just how it is. Take, for instance, a chlorophytum spider plant. Those get brown tips on them frequently just because that's just what they do. Soil, I use a succulent soil. And the reason I do that is because a palm tree is going to grow in a location that has fast draining soil, like a beach, for instance. Like when it rains, the water doesn't stay there that long. So even, I don't have a bag near me, but even some bags of cacti succulent soil will also say cacti succulent palm for that reason, because they don't want to be sitting in water. Like when I said evenly moist, I mean just not dried out, but not sopping wet. There's a middle ground. It's not hard to find, I promise. But yeah, what is next? Fertilizing. Okay, this is kind of important too. You don't really want to over fertilize these. It's okay to fertilize them, they need it, but one of the problems that you will run into with palms in general is that they tend to have an issue with salt accumulation, and there is salt in a lot of fertilizers, especially kind of fertilizers that are not organic. They'll have salt in them. The way to get around that is maybe a couple times a year, maybe a few times a year, you just want to flush your plant. So like this one, I would probably just run it under some fresh water and just let it go for a few minutes, just so that all that water is flowing through, rinsing that salt accumulation out of the bottom. Not a big deal. It's not something that you need to panic about, but just be aware of it, that palms they are sensitive to sodium. That being said, if you're using a fertilizer that's not organic, like a store-bought, like I do, I tend to dilute them more when I do my palms just because I'm trying to be careful. Dilute it by maybe half, maybe by 75% if you're just really not sure, just to be safe. But despite all that, I promise they're easy to take care of. This is not an alocasia or a calathea, like it's not just gonna kick the bucket for no reason. It's fine. I think that's probably all I have about Chamaedorea. Let me know if you guys have any questions. If you guys have any good experiences with Chamaedorea, definitely a good little palm to have, and it brings such a cool tropical feel into your home. You guys see I've got another palm right here, and I've got a few more in front of my fireplace. I love palms. I haven't had them a lot. Like my mom, if anybody knows my story, my mom had houseplants, but she never had palms, so I don't know why, but I really like them because I don't live near the beach, unfortunately. So yes, thank you guys so much for subscribing. Thank you for liking the videos and interacting with me. Love it. Love talking to you guys. And until the next video, I'll see you guys soon. And thank you.